From the middle of Chapter 10, 95, to Chapter 11, 01, about 5.5 chapters, and the count may extend to additional chapters. Yet it's not the anticipated flashback of the world's strongest creature, it's the flashback of the tyrant Kuma. Now a question automatically arises. Why did Oda neglect Kaido and the fervent anticipation fans held for his backstory, especially because of that legendary introduction of him? Firstly, we must comprehend Oda's style and his approach to providing flashbacks for his characters based on their importance to him. The first characters that Oda pays attention to and gives an in-depth flashback to are the Straw Hats. Everyone knows how deeply Oda has delved so far into the past of Luffy. Then Sanji, whose personality Oda explored from his relationship with his legendary teacher Zeph, until he brought us, in Whole Cake Island, into a new Sanji's flashback with his original family. Following that, Nami and Robin also received attention. Of course, even among the crew members, Oda delves into the past of some characters more than others. Brook did not receive as much exploration. Zoro had a flashback and a smaller story depth than Sanji. And many fans predicted that the Zoro arc would be Wano, but Oda did not delve into Zoro's character extensively. Instead, he preferred to discuss Zoro's family tree and origins in the SBS. Then there is another type, the characters close to the hero or those with a strong inclination toward goodness, including Ace, who had an important past, in Marineford. Then after Marineford, with a shared past between him and Luffy and Sabo. Then in Wano, when we saw how Oda brought him back to the forefront through his little past with Yamato before Chapter 1000 of the story. Another character in this category is Law, a supernova. He had an interesting flashback to explain how he lived a very difficult life since his childhood, and then his relationship with Corazon and Doflamingo. This was one of the most important flashbacks in One Piece, and gave a wonderful luster to the Dressrosa arc. We now turn to a type of characters whose past Oda delves into, and they are characters who were like heroes and accomplished achievements, or characters who had a sudden twist or turn of events. Among these characters is Fisher Tiger, the liberator of slaves, whose story unfolded from Chapter 620 until his demise in Chapter 623. Following his death, Oda continued delving into the past of the fishmen and the racism they faced, and the good people among them, as well as the people who were affected by what happened to Fisher Tiger, and in return, they became racists. Yes, it's Arlong, one of East Blue's most important villains. There are other characters, such as Fisher Tiger, who embodied the meaning of fighting racism, including Odin, who embodied the meaning of freedom, and Kuma, through Kuma, Oda illustrates that certain circumstances can shape individuals, defining their identity and making them unable to alter their fate. Kuma, the enslaved man, becomes a prisoner of his race. We come to Nolan the Liar, who was subjected to a very serious twist, bad like what the tyrant Kuma was subjected to. Of course, each one of them was exposed to a different scenario. Imagine that this person and his shared past with the legendary warrior Kalgara received chapters from the end of Chapter 286 to the beginning of Chapter 293, which is equivalent to approximately 7 chapters. Even Kaido's the strongest creature didn't get it. So, as we delve into the type of characters whose pasts Oda addresses, and for what purpose, we now come to how Oda deals with the past of his villains. Kaido is considered a part of these villains. Before Kaido, did Oda delve into the past of evil characters in One Piece? Then, what is the secret behind this huge demand for the first time from fans for Oda to address the past of an evil person, especially Kaido? What is surprising is that the evil characters throughout the story of One Piece did not receive in-depth flashbacks from the writer. Rather, even a sub-villain, and not one of the 3 strongest characters on his crew, had some snapshots from his own past, compared to main evil characters such as Crocodile, Enel, and Captain Krieg. Yes, Senor Pink had some pages from his past in the manga, although the anime added other things and delved more deeply into his past. So the writer's interests are, first and foremost, the main factor in why some characters has a special past. Almost the most evil character with a past that the writer delved into was Big Mom from the end of Chapter 865 to the beginning of Chapter 868, approximately 2.5 chapters. Of course, some will also bring up Doflamingo, whose character the writer cared a lot about. Yes, the Joker had also a flashback, but it was a mixture of Law's past and Corazon's as well. The writer focused more on how Law's personality developed since he was young, and also his relationship with Corazon. At the same time, he gave Doflamingo a history about his relationship with his family of celestial dragons, how his crew was formed, and also how he took over Dressrosa Island and enslaved its inhabitants in this sadistic way through Sugar's ability. The rule here is that Oda, throughout the story of One Piece, did not delve deeply into the past of the evil characters. However, after the 2 years, and we need to not forget that after the 2 years, the arcs became longer. We saw that he gave Doflamingo and Big Mom some pages of flashbacks compared to the previous enemies. But for Kaido, everyone demanded a deeper and a longer flashback. Many fans even expected that his past would be the cruelest and among the deepest in One Piece. The reasons for the claim are of course clear, because Kaido raised the bar for villains in One Piece. The writer gave him a legendary introduction that no character ever received. Even Doflamingo was a path for bringing down Kaido. Several questions are asked about Kaido, especially how it is impossible to kill him and the identity of the 7 characters who defeated him in the past, the fate of his race. Many questions remained unanswered about him. Oda gave him a few pages talking about his past, often linking him to his daughter Yamato. The writer was not interested in devoting a full-fledged flashback to him, even though all circumstances were conducive for him to succeed in this. The lack of an exclusive flashback for Kaido was one of the very negative points in Wano. Whatever the reason, we cannot deny it. This creature was the most important enemy in the longest arc in the history of One Piece, and the strongest challenge for the hero since the Punk Hazard arc. For some periods of the Dressrosa arc, even Doflamingo, who is considered one of the best characters written by Oda, was just a shadow and a path for Luffy on the way to overthrowing Kaido. Kuma's flashback, despite its length, was not half the length of Oden's flashback, which was very long and comprised about 13 chapters. During that period, One Piece fans humorously referred to the story as Oden Piece. The longest flashback in the history of One Piece so far is that of Oden, surpassing even the flashback of the 3 brothers, which reached approximately 6 chapters. The record currently belongs to Oden. Fans then expected that Kaido would receive similar attention, especially since he was Oden's eternal rival and enemy. At least half of this number, or even a quarter, but this did not happen. As we said previously, the reason may be either the writer's lack of interest in Kaido's past, or following his previous approach with villains by not giving them long past chapters compared to the characters who have a good background, or his recent preoccupations. As we know, when the end of Wano approached, the writer was very busy with the One Piece live action. We have reached the end of the video. Thank you for following this far. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel and share your opinions.